Hello, welcome.
Hi.
It's like I'm meeting you all over again. Alright, please tell us your name.
Alright, my name is Camilla.
Camilla, well, welcome to my interview. You practice Wicca. What is Wicca?
Wicca is a nature-based faith path. It's the belief the earth itself is the mother goddess, that the sun itself is like the representation of the Father God, and together they make one singular deity. We can compare it to the Christian God, but it really isn't like the Christian God. It's the forces of nature. Yeah, it's essentially a nature-based faith path, and from there it branches out into many, many different kinds of...
So how long have you been practicing Wicca?
I think it's going on 2.5 years now. I'm really only a dedicant. I'm not a full-fledged witch yet. I'm not an initiate. I don't belong to a coven or anything.
Now, why did you choose Wicca as a religion?
That's an interesting story. I first read about Wicca in a post-apocalyptic book series.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so it looked very interesting. It was an interesting take on a way to view the world, and so I decided to do some research, and after about a year of looking into it and thinking about it, I decided I've never really felt a connection to Christianity. It's just never really been my thing, so I decided to try Wicca, and after a few months of trying it, I decided I like this enough to dedicate myself to it.
So it wasn't just like a spur-of-the-moment kind of thing?
No. It helps that I've always had a strong connection to nature. Ever since I was a little girl, I've preferred being outside to inside.
I know at one point you were telling me about the Book of Shadows, and I'm interested to know a little more about that. Can you tell me a little more about a Book of Shadows?
A Book of Shadows, or a grimoire, is essentially a witch's personal diary of the spells that she does and how she solves problems. It can have anything in it from spells to records of what she did that day in terms of magic to how she solved a certain problem, maybe not with magic but in a certain way. It can have pressed herbs in it, it can have photos, it can have a lot of stuff in it. It's like a witch's personal record of her magic.
Like,
his or her.
His or her, because...
Yeah.
Would they be considered wizards, or not
That
quite?
is an interesting terminology. I just keep hearing witch used generically.
So they're not like a warlock?
No, warlock is an evil wizard. What I've read, a warlock is an evil wizard and a wizard is a good wizard.
Can you tell me a little bit about black magic and good magic? Like, what's the difference between that?
Black magic, you harm people. That's really all there is that I understand that defines black magic. Is magic performed with the intent to harm without any due cause. Because if you're performing harmful magic in self-defense or the defense of another, magic performed with the sole intent to harm for the sake of harming and no other reason, that's really black magic.
So even if you have good intentions with the black magic, it can still kind of backfire?
If you're harming with no other intent than to cause harm for the sake of it, then your intentions probably aren't that good.
Good magic? Like, what would that be considered?
Black magic would be healing magic, just making sure things, a helping hand in the way things should go, like maybe performing a spell to help your garden to grow, to maybe get rid of insects that are eating your plants, or to help someone maybe with a mild illness to help them get over it. And if it's a living subject like that can think like a human, you need their consent before you do the magic, because they might not want you to interfere. So you have to pretty much get clearance first.
So if they don't agree with it, even white magic can turn bad?
That's, again, a gray area. It's... If they don't want you to do it, it's considered ethically unsound to do it.
So, to cast spells, like, what do you essentially, like, I guess, need? Like, is there basic ingredients that you need, or something you normally kind of use?
If you cannot do a ritual without all the fancy tools, the altar, the athame, the chalice, the cauldron, then you cannot do it with those tools. Really, all you need to do magic is yourself. But some people use things like the athame, which is the black-handled knife, the chalice, the altar, to help them along. It's like tools to just get the magic flowing. Some people will use special herbs to make a polyjuice or a potion to help the magic along. There's candle magic, there's mirror magic, there's fire magic, light magic. There's a lot of different kinds of magic. It really depends on what you do, what you specialize in.
So they're based on, like, elements and everything, too.
Elements, and also what you personally feel comfortable. Generally how it works for me is the things that you use to help with your magic are like a reservoir of your personal power. If you handle it on a regular basis, like some of your own magic kind of wears off on it, and the object in and of itself becomes a reservoir of your power that you can tap into during a spell. Like, I personally have jewelry I work, so the pieces of jewelry, I can tap into them if I need to use a spell.
I know on TV and in movies, you kind of see Wicca in a very bad light.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me some good things that you like? Are there any, like, misconceptions that they kind of throw in there?
There's a lot of misconceptions. A common misconception is that Wicca is, because another name for Wicca is witchcraft, is that it's evil or it's Satanism, when it's really not. Wiccans, as a general rule, do not believe in the devil because he is not a figurehead of our religion, not like he is for Christianity. A lot of religious holidays and or at least Christian holidays are co-opted pagan holidays. Like Christmas is Yuletide, the winter solstice. You've got Easter very recently, which is Ostara, the spring equinox.
The phases of, like, the moon are kind of sacred.
Yeah, that's where you get back into the whole nature-based faith path. Mm-hmm. And that's what a lot of the festivals and the celebrations are based around. It's portrayed in a very, very bad light, mostly I think for the shock value and the thrill of people doing evil things, when it's really not at all what Wicca is about.
So then you obviously don't think that Wicca is anything like the TV or the movies, really?
Not really.
When people find out that you practice Wiccan, does that color their opinion of you? Does that make them treat you differently, good or bad-wise?
I've gotten a very broad range of reactions, from it doesn't affect anything at all to people have stopped associating with me because of it. What I usually get, though, is a kind of in-the-middle part of the spectrum, in that things get kind of awkward for a little bit, or people aren't quite sure how to react. Eventually things go back to how they were when people realize that just because I practice witchcraft as a religion, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to turn around and turn them into a frog.
Sometimes, you wish you'd be like, a newt. You turned me into a newt.
I wish. There are sometimes I wish, but no. That turns into the more you shouldn't do that magic.
I suppose, though. Why would you recommend this religion to others?
Personally, I think it's for getting back in contact with the earth tides, and for me at least, for almost having the sense of calm. It calms me down. Mm-hmm. Really all I need to do is go and sit outside for a while and just let the earth ground me. The Wiccan Read is kind of like a thesis statement for the religion, but it's very, very generic. You can't take it at face value. Find the Wiccan laws, you must in perfect love and perfect trust. That's how you're supposed to enter the circle. That one, fairly take and fairly give. That mind the threefold law, ye should, 3 times bad and 3 times good. It's like karma 3 times over, and a lot of Wiccans take that very much into account when they practice magic, or even when they do small things, like should I go and talk to this person? Do I really want to go and yell at that person for cutting me off in traffic? Here's possibly the most well-known verse. It's the last line. 8 words to you we can read, fulfill, and at harm none, do what you will. That is the core of modern Wicca, at least, is harm none. Do not do harm. And that, of course, includes yourself, so it gets into varying layers of complexity of what you should and should not do.
Yeah, and that kind of seems like a positive message.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
We're not Satanists. We don't believe in Satan. Most of us don't really believe in hell, just because that's not where we're going. We're going to go to the Summerlands when I die, which is essentially nothing that was loved is ever lost. So it's like eternally being in a place where it's always summer, it's always fruitful, you're with your loved ones, and after a certain amount of time when you're ready to be sent back, you're reincarnated to have another go at life. There's not much mythology, since a lot of what we once knew was lost with the conversion of the European Isles, and in the end you're sent back to live again and hopefully do better in the next life.
The Wicca religion sounds like it's kind of tied into some Greek mythology.
It really depends on how you want to tie into it. Personally, yes, but that's because I was a Greek mythology nut when I was younger. similar, so I find it easier to draw parallels.
Mm-hmm.
It really differs from Wiccan to Wiccan. You personalize a religion to yourself, what seems right for you.
That's interesting. It's not a lot of religions that you can really do that.
Yeah, you have a lot more freedom with Wicca. Aside from this, there's more of us than you think.
Thank you for your time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have to treat you to a candy bar now.